Finally, in this topic, we're going to look at an introduction to neuropsychology. Cognitive neuroscience is a field of study that combines disciplines of psychology, neuroscience, and computer science to understand how the structure and function of the brain relate to behaviour and cognition. It is interested in identifying the neural mechanisms that underlie cognitive processes, such as attention, perception, memory, decision-making, and language. Cognitive neuroscientists use a variety of techniques to study the brain. This includes functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, electroencephalography, EEG, positron emission tomography, PET, and transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS. These techniques allow researchers to examine brain activity and connectivity patterns during different cognitive tasks and compare them to baseline or control conditions. One of the main goals of cognitive neuroscience is to identify the neural basis of cognitive deficits and disorders, such as autism spectrum disorder, dyslexia, schizophrenia, and Alzheimer's disease. By understanding the underlying neural mechanisms of these disorders, researchers can develop targeted interventions and therapies to improve cognitive functioning. Brain scanning techniques have revolutionized the field of cognitive neuroscience by providing a non-invasive method to study the structure and functioning of the brain. Here are the explanations of CT, PET, and fMRI scans. Number 1, let's look at CT, computed tomography scans. It is a type of X-ray imaging that produces a detailed image of the brain structure by taking multiple X-ray pictures from different angles. This creates cross-sectional images of the brain, which can be used to detect abnormalities like tumours or bleeding. Number 2 are PET scans, which stands for positron emission tomography. This is a type of brain imaging that shows the activity of the brain by measuring changes in blood flow and glucose metabolism. In this technique, a small amount of radioactive substance is injected into the bloodstream, which is then detected by the scanner as it moves through the brain. The areas of the brain that are more active will use more glucose and will, therefore, appear brighter on the PET scan. The third scan we're going to look at is functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI. This is a type of brain imaging that uses magnetic fields and radio waves to detect changes in the blood flow and oxygen levels in the brain. This technique is based on the fact that when a specific area of the brain becomes more active, it requires more oxygenated blood, which is detected by the fMRI scanner. It provides a detailed image of the brain's functional activity and can be used to identify which parts of the brain are activated during specific tasks or cognitive processes. Case study 12 is Tolvin's Gold Memory Study. The aim. Tolvin's Gold Memory Study aimed to investigate different types of long-term memory. In particular, he focused on episodic memories and semantic. The method. The method involved 6 volunteers, including himself and his wife. They were all injected with a small amount of radioactive gold. Once the brain had selected this, it would be shown on a PET scan using gamma rays. Each participant carried this out in 8 trials, 4 episodic and 4 semantic in a random order. This was repeated measures as the participants were taking part in all of these tasks. The episodic tasks involved thinking about personal experiences, such as holidays the person had had as a child. The semantic tasks involve things like recalling historical facts from memory. When given a signal, the participant would begin thinking about the topic, whilst blood flow in the brain was monitored on the scan. The results of the study. Tolvin found clear differences in blood flow patterns for 3 of the 6 participants. When they thought about semantic memories, the concentration of blood flow was towards the back of the brain. The episodic memories brought greater concentration towards the front of the brain, in the frontal and temporal lobes. Conclusions. This study shows that episodic and semantic memories are separate forms of long-term memory and are located in different parts of the brain. The weaknesses in this study were that there were only actually 3 participants who showed the effects. Also, they were all volunteers, so they may have put more effort and tried to get the positive results. Also, the experimenter cannot control what they are actually thinking about during the process. Neurological damage, such as a stroke or an injury, can affect motor abilities and behaviour by damaging or destroying parts of the brain that are responsible for controlling movement and behaviour. Let's look at an example. Damage to the motor cortex can result in difficulties with movement and coordination, while damage to the prefrontal cortex can affect decision-making and impulse control. The severity and location of the damage can determine the extent of the impact on motor abilities and behaviour. In some cases, rehabilitation and therapy can help individuals regain some of these abilities, but in other cases, the damage may be more permanent.